Consumer rationing was used during World War I as a way to.
Solid response. Ensure that the military had essential materials is a valid choice.
Who were Germany's allies at the beginning of World War I?
Well picked. Italy and China is the correct answer.
Dash was the Prime Minister of England during World War II. Valid point. Winston Churchill is true. Which alliance did the United States join in World War I?
Great thinking. Allied powers Britain, France, Soviet Union is the right choice.
What were the Allies fighting against during World War I? Correct. Axis countries is the right answer. What did the Chicago Daily Tribune announce on April 6th? Well done. US at war is the right choice. Who were the new workers in factories during World War I? Good job.
Your answer, African Americans, and women works well here.
During World War I, the group of the Allies included Dash. Strong choice. United States, Russia, France, China, and Great Britain is the right answer. Who was the British leader when the war started in 1939? Perfect. Neville Chamberlain is the correct choice. What did the Liberty Bonds help the government pay for? Nice selection. World War I is the correct and valid answer. Who was leader of the Soviet Union during World War I?
Clear logic. Your choice, Joseph Stalin, is sound and 100% true.
What were the two US presidents during World War I?
Excellent choice. FDR and Truman is the right answer.
Which event occurred first and led to the other three? Good thinking. World War I is the right answer. The belief that the US should stay out of world events. Well reasoned. Isolationism is the correct choice. What is the one thing that happens during total war? Exactly. Families ration their food supplies makes sense and it is right choice. The principal goal of the United Nations has been to smart pick. Promote peaceful solutions to world problems is the correct choice. What was the first major Allied invasion of the war? You chose D-Day, and it is correct. The new weapons introduced in World War I resulted in smart move. A stalemate on the Western Front is an accurate answer. The event reported in this dispatch led directly to bravo. US entry into World War I is the answer. Who was Germany's main ally at the start of the war? Nicely done. Italy is a solid answer. The dictator of Germany during World War II was Dash. Correct response. Adolf Hitler is the most accurate answer. Who was the dictator of Germany when war broke out? Nice work. You chose Adolf Hitler and it is correct. What event caused US involvement in World War I? You're right. Pearl Harbor is the correct answer. Which event prompted the US to enter World War I?
Right again. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor is a valid answer.
This country was completely neutral during the war. Great job. Switzerland is the accurate answer. Which country did Germany invade to start the war? Right choice. Poland is the best answer. Dash was the dictator of Italy during World War E. Excellent. Benito Mussolini is a brilliant choice.
What was the name of the war that started in 1939?
You got it? Your choice, World War E, is right.
How many nations did Germany become after the war?
On track. 2 is the correct answer. What year did Britain start the war with Germany? Sharp thinking. 1939 is the right choice.
When did the Allies declare war against Germany?
You chose when Germany invaded Poland, and it is correct. During the Soviet-German invasion, it was called... Good job. Your answer, Operation Barbarossa, works well here. What job did some Texas women do during the war? Right choice. Pilot is the best answer. The Battle of Midway is significant because it... Perfect. Halted further Japanese advancement in the Pacific is the correct choice. 2 superpowers that emerged after World War E. Strong choice. United States and Soviet Union is the right answer. What event triggered the start of World War E? Correct response. Germany attacked Poland is the most accurate answer. Rosie the Riveter was created during which war? Bravo, World War I is the answer. When did Germany surrender during World War I? You're right, 1945 is the correct answer. Why did Britain declare war on Germany in 1939? Well reasoned. Germany attacked Poland is the correct choice. The US entered World War II when Dash was bombed. Valid point. Pearl Harbor is true. 2 groups that fought in World War II were the... Great job. Axis and Allies is the accurate answer. Who were the Allied powers during World War I? Exactly. United States, France, Russia, Serbia. Britain makes sense, and it is right choice. What lessons can be learned from World War I? You got it. Your choice. The importance of diplomacy and international cooperation is right. What action was the beginning of World War II? Excellent choice. Hitler's invasion of Poland is the right answer. America entered World War I partly due to the... Nice selection. Sinking of the Lusitania is the correct and valid answer. Japan forced a war on China in the year dash. Sharp thinking. 1894 is the right choice.
What was the spark that started World War I?
Well done. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand is the right choice. Which countries weren't involved in the war? Clear logic. Your choice, Sweden, is sound and 100% true. During the World War I, new dash were used. Nicely done. All of the above is a solid answer. What is significant about December 7th, 1941? Well picked. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor is the correct answer. How was imperialism a cause of World War I? Solid response.
Rivalry over overseas territories increased tensions in Europe is a valid choice.
What does a neutral nation do during a war? Excellent. Stay out of the war is a brilliant choice. World War E ended after the United States. Great thinking. Dropped atomic bombs on 2 Japanese cities is the right choice.
When was the official declaration of Döloi?
Good thinking. Germany declares war on Poland is the right answer. The purpose of the Nuremberg trials was to on track. Punish German leaders for war crimes is the correct answer. Who were Audie Murphy and Clito Rodriguez? Smart pick. Heroes from Texas is the correct choice. The Holocaust occurred during which war? Nice work. You chose World War E, and it is correct. What is the start date of World War I? Correct. Sept 1st, 1939 is the right answer. Why did Japan struggle during the war? Right again? Lack of resources is a valid answer. What was the end date of World War A? Smart move. Sept 2nd, 1945 is an accurate answer. What decade did World War II happen in? Well done. 1940s is the right choice. World War I was known as the Dash War. Sharp thinking. Great is the right choice. What was the Battle of Midway called?
You're right. Turning point in the Pacific War with Japan is the correct answer.
Marked the end of the war in Europe. Solid response. Fall of Berlin is a valid choice. Dash was formed after World War A.
Correct response. League of Nations is the most accurate answer.
What began a civil war in Russia? Bravo. Bolshevik Revolution is the answer. When did World War E take place? Excellent. 1939. 1945 is a brilliant choice. World War I was fought from Dash. 1914 to 1918 is a solid answer. The Great War was also known as. Strong choice. World War I is the right answer. Which treaty ended World War I? On track. The Treaty of Versailles is the correct answer. World War E in Europe began in. Great job. 1939 is the accurate answer. What was the Manhattan Project? Valid point. Testing and creation of the atomic bomb is true. How long did World War E last? Excellent choice. 6 years is the right answer. Why did Britain join the war? Well reasoned. To protect their friends is the correct choice. Countries used propaganda too. You chose sell the war and encourage men to enlist. And it is correct. When did World War I begin? Clear logic. Your choice 1914 is sound and 100% true. World War I ended in Dash. Correct. 1918 is the right answer. What was No Man's Land? Nice selection. The area between the opposing sides' trenches is the correct and valid answer. Dash ended World War.
right again. The Treaty of Versailles is a valid answer.
What is appeasement? Right choice. Giving in to demands to prevent going to war is the best answer. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. Nice work. You chose Contact Narayan Changda and it is correct.